The time has come to wire up the cooktop, the Teka. I think it's a Teka or Teda. I don't remember. Teka. T-E-K-A cooktop. And it has 5 wires, interestingly. So what do we have here? We've got a blue, a gray, a brown, a black, and a yellow-green. Here's what I know about wiring in this part of the world. The yellow-green part goes on the top pin. It even says on the wiring guide for the plug, green or green-yellow. That's that wire right there. The neutral, also known as the cool wire, is blue, black or blue, right? That's the cool wire, black or blue. And the live wire is red or brown. So you got to watch out for the red browns. They're the nasty killer wires, but don't think that the black blues are all that safe, because those guys can sometimes be reverse wired. So you got to be careful. Now what's interesting here is we've got a black and a brown and a gray and a blue. So what's kind of strange is we just looked at this colors diagram here, right? And it says the neutral is black and the live is brown. Now what do we have here? We have black tied to brown. Curious. And then we have blue tied to gray. And there is no gray in this color, in this diagram here. So they have thoughtfully provided a wiring card for people like me who prefer to really take their time when they're doing electrical. And the wiring card says, you figure out, you find the voltage you're on. We're definitely not dealing with 400 volts. I don't have 3-phase 230. There's another 400. So the one I'm going off of here is my 230 volts 1 phase, which is what I've got. And it looks like we've got a individual green yellow, which is the ground. Okay, no problem. And the neutral wire is purple or blue and gray. And the live is brown and dark gray. That I think should be black. So let's look at this under slightly better light. It's still looking gray, but it's darker. So it looks to me like this has come pre-wired for 230 volts 1 phase. We got a brown on a black and a blue on a gray. So through elimination, even though the blue looks purple to me, we got a blue and a light gray, or a purple and gray, and that's probably these guys. And we got a brown and a dark gray, and a brown and a black. So we're going to go with the way it arrived, pre-wired, even though the wiring card's colors are all weird. But there's nothing here that's blue, so I guess we replace purple for blue and dark gray for black. But I sure wish this card was a bit more color accurate with respect to the wires, because the wires are pretty clear. So that means we've got a very interesting situation, because in most scenarios in Hong Kong, brown and black would never come into contact with each other, because black is the neutral and brown is the live. That would cause a short circuit right there. But we're going to go with this because I have a feeling that this fancy wiring on the other end, where these things are jumped together, so the hot goes to hot, cold goes to cold. And that's, I'm thinking, what's going on here, because when you look at the card, you see the neutral is always blue and gray, no matter which wiring diagram you go with. The live is brown and dark gray, brown and black. no matter what. So it's looking like the note here on 230 volts, three phase, there's no neutrals, right? Interesting. Very interesting. That's how you mix up your power. So there we go. We've got this wiring scheme. So neutral is going to go, pardon me, the ground is going to go to that yellow-green. That's easy. And then the live is going to be brown and black. And the neutral is going to be blue and gray. And that's exactly how this plug is going to get wired up. And we'll see what happens. We're in the final stages of installing the new Induction Cooktop. It's a 6,500 watt unit, and that's at full power on all three burners. So this thing draws about 28 amps at 230 volts. So it occurred to me that I should make sure that the wiring and the fuse box can handle all this. So I traced the circuit back to the service panel, and it's on a 30 amp breaker. So that's cool, because this thing peaks out at 25, 28, thereabouts. Let's say 28. The next thing to think about is the wire. Can the wire in the wall handle that kind of current? So I took a look at the wiring. The wiring is 6 millimeters square triple-stranded wire, and that's rated up to 45 amps carrying capacity. So the wire is cool. And then I got to the plug, and that's not rated for 30 amps. I don't think so. And the plug, which I was all ready to wire up until I saw 13 amps prominently displayed on the fuse, and realized that is half of, less than half of what this cooktop is going to draw when it's at full blast. So I quickly realized, hold on a second, is the plug and receptacle underrated for the new cooktop? The old one's much smaller. So I did a quick look and I realized that, yeah, the receptacle, the device receptacle and the plug that I was going to use were underrated. Another thing that tipped me off was the gauge of these wires. That's pretty heavy duty stuff, so that's a pretty thick cable. So what I ended up doing was reconsidering my connection strategy, and I went off and got a suitably rated direct connect plate. And this thing is rated up to 25 amps, which is 3 amps short of the peak. But I doubt very much that anybody is going to run this thing, all three cookers, full blast at the same time. Doubtful. Doubtful. So I'm going to put in this 25 amp. Now this thing is good for 25 amps. I'm not quite sure what BS5733 is. I've got a feeling that that's a standard. I'll have a look at it in terms of what that actually means in terms of its rating. We're going to give this a shot. And then Mrs. Maker just doesn't run all three burners at full blast. She'll just be mindful of the power intensity that she uses. Should be fine until I get a bigger, badder plate, but there just wasn't one at the hardware store, so we'll use this until we can order something that's just a slightly more beefy, which would be around 30 amps. But as you can see, it's got strain relief. That's what the collar is there. And it's got a ground, nice big ground bus, and it's got connectivity for live and neutral. So the terminals should fit directly in there and should all come together, and then I'll just tuck it back in the wall. And that's what the plan is now. So off we go with properly rated wires. Well, here's the receptacle wired up. Let's have a look at it. We got blue and gray wired into the neutral, black and brown wired into the live, and the ground cable wired to the bus bar here that grounds everything out. Now on the bottom of the cooktop, they were kind enough to include wiring instructions as well. And let's take a look at the 230 volts at one phase. It says the live should be black and brown, the neutral should be blue and gray, and the ground should be yellow-green. So let's check the live again. Black, brown should be connected to the live. And here we are, black, brown, and you can see the L for live. So the next thing to do, those terminals, the terminal screws are here on the side. You just push the wire into this hole and close it up. It's got integrated strain relief, so you can't yank this cable out. Liking this receptacle or this cover plate a lot, I just wish it was rated better. So that's the next thing to do. So what I'm going to do at this point is prepare the cooktop for insertion, and then I'll wire it in once it's in place and all nicely set. So that's the next step after I've applied the foam tape and landed that cooktop in the hole it's meant for. So that's what you're going to see coming up next.
I hope you liked this video. If you did, please consider subscribing, giving me a like, and leaving me a comment. I really enjoy making these videos, and I want to know from you how I can make them better. The whole point of these videos is to demonstrate that if I can do something, you can do it too. Well, that's it for now. So long, and remember, keep making.